It's June, folks, which means LGBTQ plus Pride Month is in full swing. Now, Pride doesn't just celebrate the strides the community has made over decades. It's often a celebration of a personal journey. A journey from the recesses of the closet to marching in the streets. The journey of claiming your pride in a world that tries to shame you. I recently sat down with educator and author Chasten Buttigieg to talk about this very journey. And if that last name sounds familiar, that's because he's the husband of Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. I spoke with Chasten about a new version of his memoir, I Have Something to Tell You for Young Adults, and about the growing anti-LGBTQ climate across our country. Here's what he had to say.
I wanted to write the book I wish I could travel back in time and hand my young self. I wrote it for young adults, but I think this is going to be helpful for teachers and parents, too, and for anybody who supports young people, teaches young people, and who wants to understand what it is like to be a young person in this country. When you're contemplating, do I really fit in here? Do I belong here? Is it okay to be me? Is it safe to be myself? And there's so many lessons and stories in this book that I wish younger me would have known and had learned.
I mean, you tell a lot of stories in this book, and I will note it is different than your first memoir because that memoir has different stories. So these are specific stories that you picked for this book. Out of all those stories that you picked, which one, like, give me your top two.
Well, first, I just wish that young Chasten, as well as any young person now, would stop thinking so much about the opinions of other people. I grew up in a conservative rural place in northern Michigan, and I was convinced that the opinions of other people were the opinions that mattered, whether it was my church group or my 4-H group or even the people walking down the hallways at school. I cared so much about what they thought of me. I was terrified they would find out this big secret about me, and then I would lose everything. And I was afraid to be my authentic self. You know, I was a creative kid. I was really bubbly. I was loud and rambunctious, but I wanted to lock that up. Because I was afraid that other people would make fun of that and see that difference. And another thing I'm really glad to be able to have the opportunity to talk about is my parents' own journey. You know, I ran away from my parents when I came out, and I'm so lucky, and I believe I'm alive today because they called me home. They put the safety and the health of their kid above the opinions of everybody else, even though I knew they were going to be ostracized by people in the community, in our church, their own friends, for having a gay son, because we just didn't talk about gay people then. And so sharing their story and the importance of allyship, especially from parents and teachers, and then teaching young people that they can believe in themselves today. They can stop believing that the opinions of other people or your surroundings are the ones that define you.
You write at one point, even though I saw a few gay characters on television, gayness was something distant, almost like a luxury or a privilege. Famous people on television in Los Angeles or New York could be gay, but not an awkward kid from the Midwest who spent his Saturdays at the bowling alley and read books with a flashlight under the covers. I feel like there's a lot of young people that feel the way that you described in this book today.
I want LGBTQ people to know that there are millions of people out here. The majority of Americans support you. The majority of Americans, the data tells us, the majority of Americans believe in LGBTQ equality. The majority of Republicans today believe in LGBTQ equality. It's just right now we are experiencing a political climate where it is advantageous for these people to continue attacking vulnerable people because it requires no work.
When you sat down to do the young people's version of this book, this was prior to the widespread book bans, the don't say gay laws, and now there's one creeping through the legislature in Texas, but most notably the law that's on the books in Florida. You have a book tour, and I find it very interesting that, you know, you're in Washington, D.C., you're going to Florida, you're going to Tennessee. This seems very intentional to me, some of these stops on the book tour. Did you think about aligning your tour stops and telling these stories based upon what is actually happening out there right now?
Absolutely. You know, I wanted to hit the big markets. I didn't get to do a book tour for the first one, and so
Pandemic.
I wanted to do that, but I know that we don't turn our back on our family. And that some of these people in red states, they see, you know, folks online talking smack about their state, but they live there. That's where their families are. And to me, as the teacher, as the advocate, as the parent, I wanted to go there because I wanted them to know that I am not turning my back on them. And I wanted to bring this story, this opportunity for community, even if it's just 2 hours at a book talk, to tell them that somebody cares, somebody is listening. And so many of these experiences in Texas, in Florida, I was in Missouri and Utah, you can tell that people are tired and exhausted. And this is our opportunity not only to call out our allies and tell them that they got to put their allyship into action, but to remind ourselves and our community that we got to lift one another up as well.
Are you concerned about your book being banned?
I mean, it's an age-appropriate book, so if it's banned, it's just politics. But, that doesn't stop people these days. So.
It does not stop people these days. Truly my last question.
Yeah.
You talk about putting their allyship into action. It makes me think about a number of these companies. We're having this conversation during Pride. Companies who, when the going was easy, they were very happy to have the Pride-themed memorabilia, if you will, towels, everything from towels to cups in their stores, displayed prominently. And now, seeing pushback, everyone from Budweiser to Target is making different decisions.
Yeah, we call that rainbow washing. That's people profiting off of the LGBTQ community when it's convenient. And now it's not as convenient. People are calling in bomb threats to targets. And so I'm expecting corporations to stick up and actually put the money where their mouth is. And for allies, they got to know that you got to ask yourself, did I earn that title or did I give it to myself? Ally. And your allyship has to be actionable. People need your time, they need your money, they need your resources, they need your privilege. If you've got privilege like I do, I try to find the ways that I can to support people in my own community and learn and unlearn some things. But right now, especially vulnerable trans kids need our help. Families in the LGBTQ community need our help. And whether you're a big corporation, one of these big box stores that likes selling the towels or the cups, or you're just an ally at home who thinks you're a big-hearted person, but ask yourself, what am I actually doing to support the LGBTQ community, especially in the wake of these ridiculous and egregious book bans, healthcare bans, attempting to push people back into the closet? But I say no, we're not going anywhere, and we need your help. And so this Pride Month, please ask yourself, what am I going to do to actually be an ally to the LGBTQ community?
Chasten Buttigieg, you have something to say, and you have something to tell folks.
Thanks so much.
Love this book. Thank you for being here. Thanks for writing this.
Thanks for having me. Happy Pride.
Chasten's book, I Have Something to Tell You, for young adults, is available now. Thank you, sir, for the discussion.